Okay, the third sacrifice. Okay, let's see if we can do this. I don't know if I can. The situation has changed. Rika's father suddenly changed his mind about having her help out with the research. When Rika came down with a high fever the other day, her mother, who wasn't happy about her daughter helping in the first place, finally blew up. I was hoping the father would convince her somehow, but now he seems to be on her side. Rika's father didn't get emotional like her mother, but he demanded that we make our research plans for Rika clear, and that we finish our research within 3 months at most, which is completely unrealistic. Research can't have a deadline. That's out of the question. We cultivate results by grinding down our knowledge, skills, and time. To take time away from us is like taking what's vital to live. How could he say such a thing? Curses! Rika's parents are only saying that because they don't know anything about scientific research. However, they're the parents of the Queen Carrier, and we're completely lost about what to do. Tests and experiments of the Queen Carrier are an essential part of our research into Hinamizawa syndrome. Her existence is the focal point of our work. To lose her would be like losing your sense of direction out in open water. Rika is providing her cooperation with our research, but the withdrawal of her guardian's consent could be a setback. The situation is extremely dire. Rika's parents are only interested in finding a cure, but to me the cure is only a small part of solving the mystery. I can't let her go. Our differences causing this predicament. And it's not only that the same is happening between Irie and me. He thinks it's inevitable that we need to stop the research if Rika's parents refuse to consent. That's understandable. From the beginning, Irie never had the determination to solve the mysteries of Hinamizawa syndrome. He won't back down from the research assertively, but he'll passively will by agreeing with Rika's parents. Is that attitude of a researcher who's trying to unravel mysteries? He's the type of man who would step on my grandfather's research with his dirty feet! He's nothing but a coward who's in this half-heartedly. He started to feel guilty over the past his moment he saw blood. He isn't qualified to be involved in researching Hinamizawa syndrome. He's simply an outsider who joined him because of the client's demands. If I were a man, he wouldn't even be here in the first place. While it's true he produced wonderful results with his development of a cure, he seems to think it's alright to close up shop with that. Is he planning to waste everything by being satisfied with just that tiny result? That man doesn't have any right to discard my grandfather's research. I can feel my guts boiling. No. Irie isn't the main person at fault. The one to blame here is that woman, Rika's mother. If she wasn't so selfish, this wouldn't have happened. Maybe it's partly my fault. I maintained trust through relationships and obligations all this time, but somehow Rika's mother and I didn't get along, so I didn't try to socialize with her. I thought it was fine because I got along with Rika and her father. But now that woman has influenced the father and changed his decision. What negligence! What a reversal! What a blunder! Irie is saying that we should talk to the office in Tokyo about what to do next. But I know once the Tokyo office finds out about this, they'll order us to shut the research down. I worked so hard to even get things started. If they hear anything negative, they'll put a stop to it. I've come too far to complete my grandfather's research. I can't let it be stopped. I still have a little time to think about this. I need to calm down and analyze this situation carefully. I've always come up with a great plan when I drink my favorite tea and bite my nails like this. I looked up at the ceiling and closed my eyes, as tenderly as possible. There were times where I couldn't find a solution, but someone else came up with a simple one. I've been able to overcome everything that's been thrown at me. I've even endured the hell of that orphanage, so I'll never let that woman get in the way. Settle your thoughts down. Think about this clearly. Be calm, Takanomiyo. Someone else may come up with a better idea, but who? It's not me. It can't be Irie. Of course nobody from the village will do. Do I talk to someone in Tokyo? No, I can't. I don't want to owe anyone a favor. Even Koizumi would be disgusted if he found out I can't solve such a simple matter by myself. I know. There's someone I can talk to nearby. They're supposed to be my subordinates after all, so it's worth a try. I called the leader of the mountain dogs, Okanogi. The mountain dogs are my subordinates, but they're part of the self-defense force, and I'm just a researcher. So we never had a chance to interact. Oh my god. No. He did what he was supposed to do, and I did what I was supposed to do, so I never even thought of discussing anything with him. But the mountain dogs are there to protect and support our research. Why didn't I think of talking to him before? What a difficult situation. He used to speak standard Japanese, but now he has the Hinamizawa accent. I guess fitting into the region is the first thing they need to do. We may lose our queen carrier, and not only that, but her mother might end up exposing our secrets. Can you do something about it? I asked Okanogi rather directly. I'm not really expecting an answer, but... I understood. The mountain dogs will take care of it. Just give us a little time, and we'll do a clean job. Take care of it? We'll make sure the police won't get involved. We need a little time to prep, but it won't be difficult. I'm startled. Because Mother is my enemy, but I was thinking about how I could convince her. But the leader of the mountain dogs, the counterintelligence unit whose duties to protect this secret research, came up with a much simpler plan. Do you mean to kill her? To preserve the secret, I was told to do whatever is necessary. Of course, we won't do anything until we get an order. Right. This is a very simple problem to him. Rika's mother started to interfere with our research. Not only that, there's a chance she might talk to people about the Institute, so they will eliminate her. That sounds like a good idea. Can you do a good job of it? That's why we're here. This will be our biggest job since the kidnapping of the minister's grandson. I remember now. The mountain dogs were the ones who kidnapped the grandson, the minister of construction, used that to blackmail him. It has been a few years, so I completely forgot about that. It is such a marvelous job then. That's right. I have the mountain dogs on my side. Can you get on with it right away? We could easily kill her even tonight, but that'd create too much of a fuss. We'll make it look like she disappeared, so give us a little time to make some arrangements. Just like a cat's eye under a bright light, I can feel something in the back of my eyes open up. Up until now, I've been racking my brain trying to figure out how to make her my ally, or at least make her surrender or pacify her. Yet one order to this man, this problem is easily solved. I feel like a bird taking its first flight. How easily I can get rid of that annoying mother. All I have to do is give an order. I feel grateful for the Koizumi for giving me such terrific subordinates. What a wonderful power he has given me. I was taught that all people are equal, but if I have a power to control people's lives, that means I'm more important than they are. What a feeling it is to be above others. So, did you just want Furude Rika's mother to disappear? Well, wait a minute. Does he mean only Furude Rika's mother? I can feel chills all over my body. If possible, maybe I should have her father disappear too. Rika's willing to help. She has no other relatives in the Furude family. If both parents die, she has to depend on someone. The Erie Institute can support her. We can give her status, money, and protection. We can give her everything. By doing so, maybe it's possible to make her one of us, rather than having her as just a helper. All my worries are melting away. Everything I was just concerned about seems like a joke now. I had such powerful subordinates all this time, yet I never realized. All my tension is being released, and I'm starting to feel relaxed. I can feel myself regaining my cool again. I'm going to get rid of them. Like his parents, that is. The Queen Carrier is my guinea pig. A guinea pig doesn't need parents. That's right. It's almost time for the Watanagashi festival. If they die on that day, people will call it the Curse of Oyashiro. The murder case from 2 years ago and the accident from last year are two separate incidents, yet because they happened on the day of Watanagashi, they're being called the Curse of Oyashiro. Then if her parents' death is a curse on the year of Watanagashi, it will be Oyashiro's curse 3 times in a row. The miracle of Oyashiro. Also the curse. I'm going to create them. This is a chance for me to ascend to godhood and toy with human fate. The incidents that occurred 2 years ago in a row are said to be a curse, but not everyone believes that. However, it happens 3 years in a row, then everyone has to believe, because that'll be a true curse that's created by me. I'll become Oyashiro. My desire for revenge against God is coming together. Making her merely disappear isn't that fun, is it? When I started to laugh, Okanogi grinned to show his interest. We're going to create the curse of Oyashiro. I can't just let her die. She'll be demoned away and I'm going to enjoy dissecting her alive. Of course I won't just have fun. This will be extremely useful for our research. After all, she's the previous Queen Carrier. As if she's gonna cut her up. Second year, the Hojo couple were killed through a fake accident. Since the dam protests, only people who've been hated by the villagers died on the day of Watanagashi. Some people in the village were calling the incidents the curse of Oyashiro. Now that the dam protests are over, there would be no meaning in this village's enemies being killed on the night of the festival, I thought. If that was true, then there are still some enemies left over. I thought perhaps that would happen again the night of Watanagashi 3 years in a row. My hunch was right. At first, however, it looked so natural, I didn't think anything of it. The festival was nearing its end. The village officials were gathering under the main tent. They opened their beers and enjoyed the leftover corn and braised cow tripe from the refreshment stands. I was in the main tent too, being entertained by the villagers. So I was actually there at the scene of the 3rd year's incident when it happened. Yeah, I didn't notice anything at the beginning. Hey, Fruity, what's the matter? Are you feeling sick? Most of the older folks in the village were heavy drinkers, but a few were lightweights too. The priest was one of the latter. The priest was a representative as well as a host during the Watanagashi festival. So every time villagers and guests arrived, he greeted them, and each time he offered a drink, and so by the night's end he was pretty worn out. That's why I didn't think of anything of it to see the priest sitting by himself in a folding chair. The mayor Kimiyoshi was the one to tap his shoulder and ask him if he was all right. Are you okay? You drank too much, didn't you, huh? Does your chest hurt? Sorry, I think I'm a little tired. Huh? Didn't you have a heart trouble before? Getting sudden pains is a good sign. Dr. Irie! Dr. Irie! What's wrong? Is it your chest? That's not good. When I saw what was going on, I noticed he was covered in a terrible sweat, and that was definitely not relaxing in his chair and enjoying the cool evening breeze. His face had a sickly pallor, and I thought he should lie down immediately. I should probably take you to the clinic. Are you okay? Can you hold on to my shoulder? Hey, somebody help! The priest doesn't feel well. What's wrong with my husband? Dear, are you alright? Takano, perfect timing. The priest doesn't feel well, so I'm going to take him to the clinic. Could you please have the car come around here? Sure, no problem. Uh-oh. So the priest and his wife headed to the clinic with Dr. Irie. I don't know about young people, but the elderly know their own bodies well. They almost never push themselves to the point where they start feeling ill. Especially someone like the priest. It was hard to imagine him drinking himself sick. The cumulative experience of my years was telling me something. I headed to the Irie clinic as a case. I tried to follow their car, but because the festival was almost over, all the stands were closing up, and there was a lot of traffic going in and out, making it almost impossible for me to leave the temporary parking lot. More than 20 minutes has passed since the priest was carried away by the time I arrived in the clinic. 20 minutes. If it hadn't taken me 20 minutes, my involvement in this year's incident would have been quite different. I regret not leaving on foot the moment I realized how hard it was to get my car out. All I had to do was jot down the facts, because between the time the priest left the festival and the time I arrived at the clinic during those 20 minutes, this year's curse had taken place. The priest's condition changed for the worse after he arrived at the clinic. He died. Autopsy results say it was heart failure, but how can I accept that? I don't think the priest was having health problems, and everyone was taken by surprise by this sudden event. Moreover, the priest's wife disappeared too. According to the clinic staff, she was with him right after he died. But she's nowhere to be seen now. Of course, she's not at home either. Maybe someone poisoned the priest. During the dam conflict, the priest was frowned upon for his remarks. He said there was no need to make a big fuss because the dam project would be cancelled anyway. The older villagers like to hold grudges and hadn't forgotten that, so even when I heard a word of them talking about how the priest wasn't fit for the shrine to Oyashiro, I called for backup and had them go search for the missing wife. With last year's falling couple incident as precedent, it was easy to believe both wife and husband would become victims. The village's youth group got organized and searched for the village to the mountains, and as a result, we found a set of sandals on a well by the edge of the Onigafuchi swamp. The will said something about how her husband's death was the curse of Oyashiro, and she was throwing herself in the swamp to calm the god's anger. In other words, she died by jumping into the swamp on purpose. The legends say that the swamp is prominous and connected directly to hell. Once you sink, you'll never come back. Divers from the police department searched the swamp, but her body was nowhere to be found. The past two mysterious incidents were involved individually, just as the higher-ups say, but something is odd about this year's mysterious death. The ill priest was carried to the clinic. His wife accompanied him. Within 20 minutes, the priest died of heart failure, and the wife either jumped off the swamp or disappeared. The death of the priest may actually have been a fatal heart attack, but for his wife to assume that it was a curse, and to die by jumping into the swamp, for all that to happen in 20 minutes just doesn't seem natural. The Furuta family has no relatives. Even if she was a true believer in Oyashiro, how could she jump into the swamp, leaving behind her one and only daughter? Irie's hiding something too, but he's just a village doctor, which means he's nothing more than their pawn. If this is all a conspiracy to assassinate the priest, then there's someone who's willing to pull the strings. I'm starting to think that trying to tie the past two incidents to the village so forcefully was a bit overbearing of me, but this incident was enough to convince me this series of cases involving the mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa were all grounded in one intention. This incident has countless numbers of discrepancies, but someone from the village seems to be putting pressure on high command. Just like the past incidents, this one will be created as an individual case and end up being forgotten. Since it happened 3 years in a row, everyone in this village is saying it's the curse of Oyashiro. I think that's the culprit's goal. After the war, the belief in Oyashiro became antiquated. Is someone committing these murders as a ritual to restore the god's dignity? The one pulling the strings must be the Sonozaki family. After a few months passed, Sonozaki Oryo said something. It was like natural for the priest to be cursed by Oyashiro, so the priest case was lumped together with the mysterious Hinamizawa death, otherwise known as Oyashiro's curse. At first I simply wanted to avenge the old man, but now that the case had grown to an abnormal one centered on the village's faith. Damn, the old man's killer's human! I won't let it be pushed on him, some nonsense curse! Alright, here we go. Maybe we should wrap up for now. I don't think you're in the mood today. That's not true. Sorry if I gave you that impression. Takano had been looking through the viewfinder, but I haven't seen her push the shutter at all. While she came along, I don't think she's in the mood for bird watching. Takano's been depressed ever since the announcement of the new policies at the board meeting the other day. That's understandable. The Erie Institute was created by her in the first place. It was created so she can devote her life to researching Hinamizawa syndrome. For that to be tossed aside while being asked to wrap up the work within a few years. Of course she's depressed. Besides, she can't even fully spend the rest of her time left on the research. Her funding was cut in stages. By the end, they were barely able to finish by closing up, let alone research anything. I heard that she's the granddaughter of the late Dr. Takano. Her determination to finish her grandfather's research is what kept her going until today. Since everything has been going so smoothly until recently, the sudden change in the wind's direction must have been a total shock. The shift in people's pulling the strings must be pretty serious. The board of directors was completely changed out, and she heard that people in the projects influenced by the Koizumi faction are being restructured to set an example. The wind's new direction seems likely to remain for a long time. It's highly unlikely the Koizumi faction will come back into power, so no matter what we say, it's almost impossible to expect the same kind of support. Takano muttered, "Unfortunately, there isn't. There's nothing anybody can do." At first, the board talked about halting the research immediately, but after lots of convincing, they finally agreed to make it a gradual suspension for over a few years. The people who helped us when the Erie Institute was first created are the ones who managed that. I see. Well, it looks like the worst case scenario. It's actually somebody else's hard-earned victory, huh? 3 years is the best I could do. I tried too, you know. I used your data to try to explain to the board how important this research is. Only 3 more years, huh? Maybe Takano doesn't understand how hard I tried to convince them, because what she just said tells me the length of time really doesn't matter to her. The important thing is her research being stopped. The fact that I couldn't meet her expectations It made her feel disappointed. As a man, it kind of hurts. The best I can do at this point is route the funding as possible toward the research so that you can work toward your heart's content for the few years that we have left. Sorry. I can't do anything else. That's okay. If it's the best you can do, then I'm very happy. Her words hurt me. I'd wish she'd chosen different ones, but I think that would be asking too much from someone so heartbroken. I must be understanding of her pain at a time like this. Besides, I know how close she was to the deceased Koizumi. She even called him uncle. To her, his death is not just a part of a coup or a change in direction. She lost a person who was always looking after her. No matter how hard she tried to push herself to act villainous, she wasn't supposed to be a part of this world. She was just an ordinary woman. But she was intrigued by Hinamizawa syndrome, and she had to find help from someone who had more power than her to be able to continue research on it. The dark side of the world that she would have never gotten involved in, extended its hands out to her. She was left all by herself in that world, and she's still trying to put on a brave face. I'm sure Takano thinks I'm unreliable. Realistically, I'm not the kind of person who can meet her expectations, nor do I have the power to. The least I can do for her is stay sincere and remain her ally until the very end. Since she had so much room to act, it's hard for her to determine what actions to take when she's cornered. I wanted to believe she wouldn't, but I'm concerned she might do something drastic eventually. I hope I can be of help to her in that final moment before she makes her move. But I can't even gain enough trust from her to do that. How pitiful and pathetic. Of course, part of it is, as a man, I want her to rely on me, but that's not really it. She's been abandoned this world and is all alone, so someone has to be her ally. And if I'm the only one who knows about that, then being her ally is my job. I know her too well, so I know that she'll never ask for help. Even if she says it's unnecessary, someone has to be with her. I know that. I don't really think I'm suited for that job. I'm sure there are many other reliable people out there who are more appropriate for the position than me. But I can't let her be alone until that person appears. Takano, I know I'm pathetic and unreliable. What's this all of a sudden? What is it, Jiro? But I think I can be of help to you, so... Thank you. But I don't believe that talking to people helps you feel better. Sorry. Though I'm happy to hear that you're concerned. I really am. Okay, that's fine. I'll always be on your side. Please believe that, okay? Of course I will. If you think of a good idea to convince the board, please let me know, okay? Sure, I'll do my best. Why is it? I know she's such a strong person. There's nothing someone like me can do for her. But somehow I feel she needs help and support right now. She looks as tough as ever. Only I, who has been taking pictures of her all this time, can tell. A viewfinder, after all, is also a window to look into someone's heart. But if I say something like that, she'll tease me again, so I won't. Anyway, I never thought she needed support more strongly than I do now. Oh. Hey Nakagawa, long time no see. Still at it lately? You know that. No, not at all. It's no fun getting old. Oh, you gotta concentrate when you work with clay. If you put it off for a long time, your senses get dulled and there's no point. Sensei, allow me to introduce someone. This is Major Takano. Very nice to meet you. Thank you for taking your time to meet with me today. I truly appreciate it. I didn't really make time for you, actually. I was told that I have some good raw sea urchins. Sea urchins are good for you, did you know? Rich in vitamin A, and they're good for your skin. Women like sea urchins, right? It is true that sea urchins are rich in vitamin A, but compared to spinach, it's not anything that's worth making a fuss about. Well, none of that matters right now. He just seems like an unpleasant man, so I wanted to criticize him. Yeah, screw this asshole. These men are the directors of the Alphabet Project, who control the funding for the Erie Institute. They're also the people who are in position of being able to offer their opinions to those directors. To put it in a simpler way, they're the new owners of the Erie Institute, although not as much as Uncle Koizumi was. They're also leaders and influencers in various fields. I have to be very careful not to upset them. And therefore there's no way I would have the ability to call them in. By using the influence the Koizumi faction once had, I finally managed to get this chance. Uncle Koizumi gave me his full support, made everything go my way, and is not here anymore. I'm on my own at this point, and I'll open up a path. This stage just doesn't belong to me today. I can't let the people who offered me this chance lose face, so I have to wait patiently until it's my turn. My primary objective today is to explain the prominent research subject that Hinamizawa syndrome is, and inquire an indefinite extension for our research. They only ever think about money, so they aren't even realizing the hidden potential of Hinamizawa syndrome. They don't recognize it's worth spending a lot of money on. This is not mere research on the existence of an unknown parasite, but something that may overthrow the basic foundations of anthropology. A Nobel Prize wouldn't even be enough. It won't be easy trying to explain all that to men who know nothing about it, but I have to. That's why I spent hours making these straightforward support documents. Sometimes we make documents confusing on purpose because we don't like dealing with uneducated people, but this time it's different. I can't look down on them. I must sincerely try to make them understand. The accessible support documents are there in a huge pile. It feels like we're wasting time eating traditional Japanese food in such a relaxed mood. I want to get to the point and explain to them in detail so they can understand. But there is the saying, luck lies in the last helping. I have to be patient right now. To be frank, I thought the Alpha project we've seen wasn't that good. And in the end, it's been nothing but a sandbox for the old men with their heads stuck in the Pacific War. Nothing but a sandbox for those old men to craft their dreams of Imperial Japan's revival with money that isn't theirs. You know how much public funding was wasted on those delusions? When I heard there's hardly already prosecutors posting it in like a kuno, trying to pin investment on the old board of directors. That's what you get for trying to suck up to those old men. Of course, none of it could be made public, so they'll be held responsible or demoted in some other form. This is what the country gets for letting those ghosts of the war run freely around all this time. Boy, these grilled sea urchins are fantastic! Now this is harsh. I realize it's extremely difficult to ask you all this when you feel that way, but might I have a moment of your time? You're from the Erie Institute, aren't you? You're researching some kind of local disease in Nagano or Gifu, right? What's going on down there? The board has decided to halt the research for the military application. The research project itself is to wrap up within 3 years as well. No, that's still being discussed. Anyhow, our work is scheduled to be shut down within a few years. Ah, yeah, I remember now. The Erie Institute had a bad reputation even among the old board of directors. After all, it's such a huge amount of funds with barely any inspections. I don't know why, but someone from high up kept pushing it forward for some reason. Because of that, nobody could really say anything about it, and it was left alone. But, you know, that guy loved to flirt around with women, so maybe that had something to do with it. Is he implying that I slept with Uncle Koizumi? He's insulting both of us. But I held my anger in. I can't let myself be bothered by something like this. Anyhow, today I would like to explain to you the details of our institute's research and ask you to reconsider your decision. I truly appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to attend this meeting today. Well, I guess they don't give out free sea urchins for nothing, huh? I explained to them how much the Hinamizawa syndrome mattered while being very careful not to go too fast. I tried to let them know that the syndrome's potential is not limited to small things like military applications. It's much more meaningful than that. It may explain ideology and religion. It may even shape the very definition of a human being. I took my time to explain as slowly and clearly as possible. I'm not confident that it may have all gotten through to these boorish men, but I'm happy if they understood even just a part of it. As long as they understood and how much of a magnificent discovery Hinamizawa syndrome really is. Thank you, Major. I see. We'd like to discuss amongst ourselves, so could you please excuse yourself? Yes, thank you. Obviously, they can't discuss in front of me. I left all the documents with them. All I could do now is hope that they viewed them favorably. I left the room and closed the sliding door. The room next door is a preparation room, so I was to head there, but I stopped. I shouldn't have done it, but I tried to listen in through the sliding door. Well, I don't know what to say. I feel sorry for anyone on the previous board of directors. I know how you feel. Koizumi was pushed this strongly. I met him once before, but before he became the founding director of the XX Pharmaceuticals. He seemed like a very intelligent person to me. Guess you can't just win against age. It makes you realize how important it is for humans to know when to pull out. But it is, in fact, this very rare disease called Hinamizawa syndrome really exists. So not everything is a delusion. I hear the Erie Institute has already succeeded in identifying the disease and developing a treatment. Isn't that enough? In modern Japan, we have to be very careful with things that might make the neighboring countries nervous, and military-related issues are the most sensitive ones. So, in the very least, we must erase the fact that the research for the military purposes has been going on for the past few years immediately. Is that separate from simply discontinuing the military research then? Yes. Even if we stopped it immediately, the fact that this Hinamizawa syndrome was being researched in order to create a biological weapon remains. We should hide the fact no matter the purpose of the research ends up being used for. If possible, it'd be best if Hinamizawa syndrome just disappears. That's true. If this disease remains, sooner or later someone will become curious about it and dig it up, the hole that will be filled. I think we should follow the decision of the board of directors. As soon as the Erie Institute eradicates this disease, we should have them destroy all the evidence of their hard work before disbanding. I guess that's for the best. It's not even a matter of the Nobel Prize, but it's just useful for post-war Japan. Besides, this disease has existed for hundreds of years, right? And we've made it this far without any problems. From the start, I thought this amounted to a little more than just poking around in the bushes. Me too. I don't doubt the existence of the syndrome, but Dr. Takano, who discovered the disease, is exaggerating more than a little. He had quite a unique interpretation of things. First of all, I've never heard of a parasite that's capable of controlling people's thought. It's just too much. If we tried to explain religions with this, and Buddha, Christ, all those people would be, what was it again? Queen carriers. If we tried exposing something like this, we'd be attacked by every nation on this planet. Religion is pretty scary nowadays. If there are parasites that live in animal brains, then I guess we can say there are parasites that live in human brains too. But for them to control human thoughts, that's a bit too unique, you know? As I peeked in through the gate in the sliding door, I became trapped with an unbelievable sense of deja vu. This is my first time experiencing this, but it doesn't feel that way. I don't know why, but the memory is so sad and so painful. Why tears? Before I noticed it, I saw a very nostalgic carpeted room on the other side of the sliding door. Instead of a room covered in the tatami mats, the room is filled with the smell of dust, with the smell of some evaporated medicine, but it's very soothing to me just the same. And there is my grandfather. His article that he poured his heart into was made a mockery of, yet he wasn't even allowed to cry. This isn't a delusion, because within the documents I left with those men, there are a lot of references to the article my grandfather wrote, so I'm not surprised for my grandfather to be standing right there, explaining it to him himself. Together with my tears from seeing the sight of my beloved grandfather, I watched these men insult and belittle his masterpiece. I've seen this sight before, and the sight should have ended there. But why is it repeating before my eyes? I can only blankly peek through the sliding door, in this strange world where reality and illusion overlap. The Major is a little strange. Koizumi believing something as ridiculous as this is a little strange too. But the strangest one of all is that person who wrote the article in the first place. It blends together expectations and delusions and looks more like a fiction than a thesis. I think that'll be the big hit once this gets published, you know. You're absolutely right. I have a friend who's the head of the publishing company. I bet he'll love this! This is not a laughing matter, gentlemen. A huge amount of money was poured into this over the past few years. The worst thing is the equipment used to gas the villagers in case an emergency has already been procured. Our people must never learn about this. Such a plan to exist is scary enough, but if people find out about this equipment, the whole country will turn against us. On top of that, the cost to maintain this equipment is enormous. You don't really think it's being maintained, do you? Surely this whole project is some kind of money laundering scheme. What did they say anyway? If one girl dies, the whole village will go crazy at once. What kind of comic book is this? Exactly. Someone actually believed in such a childish story and put a huge amount of money into it. Now that's crazy. What's truly ridiculous is someone actually took these documents seriously. As he said that, he placed the documents down with an exaggerated gesture. Actually, I should say he slammed them down, because the papers ended up scattered all over the floor. You're too right! Excuse me, I need to use the bathroom. One of the men stood up and stepped on the papers. And they weren't the papers on the tatami mats, but the one on the carpet. Right there I could see my grandfather filled with heart-rending sadness. Yet he can't let it show on his face. Grandfather's expression didn't change. Yet it seemed distorted to me. I could see the walls of my grandfather's study crumpling and twisting behind him. I jumped into the room and grabbed onto the man's legs. I don't hate him. No, it's not whether I hate him or not, sure. I hate him, but that's not it. I just can't forget the feet stepping on my grandfather's article. Don't step on them! My grandma wrote on these! Please don't step on them! Sorry. Those feet are still just stepping on those papers, and I try to make them move, but they won't even budge as though they've grown roots. So I begged as I grabbed onto his legs. I tried to pull the papers from under his feet, but I can't move his feet. I can't pull the papers. Don't step on them! Don't step on them! My grandpa's... Don't step on them! My sobbing echoed in that silent room, just like it did back then. Takano. Oh. Strange medicine that I can hardly remember was a capsule. Or maybe it was an oval tablet. It was so red. It must have been a capsule. I can't imagine a tablet in that color. It must have been a capsule. I think it was a little bigger than a normal one. I can't remember. Although I can hardly remember, if I see that medicine again, it'll refresh my memory. That medicine strips away humanity. It takes away a human soul, memory, emotion. It numbs the human body. There's no thoughts. No interest, no will to stay awake or asleep. There's no sense of time. Sometimes a second can feel like an eternity. Other times, I can almost see an hour hand move. Either way, there's no emotion involved. I can't feel any emotion. The medicine only lets me stay in bed and look up at the ceiling. Only the people who have taken it can understand this misery. What's more scary is that while I'm on the medication, I don't realize how scary it is. I'm given the medication daily and I keep losing all my senses. So when the medication wore off by accident, I realized I should have never taken it again. That's right. This isn't medicine that will heal me. This is going to kill me slowly. If I continued to take this medicine, I probably wouldn't be able to tell if I was dead or alive, and I'd end up losing myself forever. I'll keep looking up at the ceiling without any emotions and keep watching the clock tick forever. If I take this medicine again, I'll lose all the senses I finally regained. I may never be able to bring myself back again. Since that day I realized that I've been pretending to take the medicine but throwing it away instead. If your doctor prescribes medication, you have to finish taking it even if your symptoms are gone. I can hear my mother's voice. Anytime I went to the doctor's office when I was a child, my mother said that to me. I usually got well before I finished all the medicines, so I didn't finish taking the rest. That's why my mother said that. But this is a different type of medicine. I don't even remember how old I was when my mother said that. But this strange capsule in front of me, I have to try and get rid of my mother's voice from inside my head. I pressed down on my head with my elbows until it hurt, trying to get rid of what my mother kept telling me. Right. As my head clears, I start to remember the ugly side of my mother. My mother betrayed her family. She betrayed me and my father, who waited her at home and the dinner on the table. She told us she was busy with work, but she was having an affair. That was bad enough, but she asked my father for divorce after he took such good care of her for so many years.
there's something else I can't forgive her for. She invited me only to meet with her new family. Not my father, just me. My father and I are family. Family means being together. Yet my mother tried to destroy the bond between my father and me. Not only has she destroyed her bond with him, she tried to destroy my bond with him too. When I remember, it makes me feel angry and hateful, and I can't forgive her. The back of my eyes start to hurt. I could feel the hatred on my face. That overflowing animosity is aimed not only at my mother, but also the man she had an affair with. The man she had an affair with, Uncle Akihito. I didn't like him teasing me, but he gave me an allowance and tried to have fun with me. I liked him very much, but his niceness was all calculated. He wanted to destroy the family bonds between my mother, my father, and me. That's why I shouldn't have said I liked him very much. That's right. I'm starting to remember and understand. I now know my true enemy. It was his fault that my mother started to have an affair, because my mother was a very good mother. He was the only one that made her bad, so he's the one who deserves the blame. When the first time I met him, I think it was the time my mother and I went out and had lunch at the restaurant, she introduced him as one of our colleagues from work. At that time, if I think about that first meeting, I think I felt something wasn't right with the way my mother acted around him. That's right, I did. I did think something was wrong. It didn't feel right. I wish that my instincts then, that I trusted, I was a fool to think that he was a nice person just because he gave me a strawberry from a piece of his cake. It's not my father's fault. Because I never met Uncle Akihito. He never met him, but I have. I met him many times. There were lots of chances to realize he was my enemy. If I had a strong enough will to protect my happiness, I could have noticed that. I can't forget how my father looked on that day. My father, who was so nice and gentle, grabbed his knees so tightly and cried so hard. He asked if I knew Uncle Akihito. I answered yes. Then he slapped me in the face. When he slapped me, I finally realized how stupid I was for being taken in by him. That's right, it was my fault. I destroyed the happiness I hoped to last forever with my own hands. If I hadn't been that stupid, my father wouldn't have had to cry like that. My mother would have stayed good. If I wasn't that stupid, it was my fault! I can't forgive my mother and Uncle Akihito. Even when I hate him this much, I can still call him Uncle, and I can't forgive myself for that. It was my fault. Everything was my fault. I was too stupid and too foolish, and that's why this happened. I hate her. I'm sad. I'm frustrated. I can't stop being angry. If my mother ever came back to this house, I'd rip her apart with my hands. She never came back. My anger toward everything that my mother left in the house. I destroyed every relic my mother left behind, one after another. I threw and smashed everything. That still didn't calm me down. Even after I turned the whole house upside down, I still couldn't calm my anger. Does my anger gather? It starts from inside me. It goes through my arms, to my fingertips, squirts through my nails. Where else can it go? So my nails aim at my own body. My body is the filthiest and most disgusting of all. I'm the one to be blamed. No, I'm not the one to blame. My mother's most at fault. My mother's the most corrupt. My body and soul feel icky. I want to stain myself black and slice the remaining flesh into pieces. And one day, I finally realized there are tons of maggots in my blood. I'm rotten. I'm rotten from the inside. Come on, rot more. But it's more indescribably itchy. It's itchy, 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 itchy. I stabbed my thigh in the riverbed in the bathroom. The blood flowed out. Reddish-black maggots spilled out. I forced myself to open my blood vessels with my thumbs. The maggots spilled out. So many maggots spilled out from my left thigh. My right thigh must have the same amount of maggots in its blood vessels. Maybe my calves too, my arms, abdomen, chest. No. How many maggots are in my blood vessels in my neck? Strangely, although I've become rather sane, there's still a part of me that is calm. If I keep ripping myself apart like this, I'll end up dead. But everything is my fault. I'm the one to be blamed. Even if I blame my mother, the only way I can disgrace her is with my own body. I get it now. It's the best means for quelling my anger. I feel like I'm thinking incredibly rationally now. In order to forgive myself, I need someone else to blame. It has to be someone else's fault. But no such person exists. No matter how much I think about it or how much I twist the logic, my own body is my own outlet to vent this anger. So as long as there's no one else to blame, I'll be forced to rip open every blood vessel in my body, Just like no matter how much I scratch, it still itches. No matter how much I rip my own body, it's not enough. The blood is all over the bathroom, and I'm sure it makes for quite the gruesome scene. Although I'm trying to stay calm, I can't ignore the sharp pain that runs through my body. Maybe because I lost so much blood, or maybe because I'm naked in the bathroom, I feel freezing cold. My whole body is throbbing. My heart is beating so fast. I'm cold and hot at the same time. And I'm also feeling sad, angry, and in pain. I wasn't to find something that lets me forgive myself. Then it came. It came in a heavenly light. It was mysterious and unreal, like something out of this world. It apologized. It kept apologizing. Why is it apologizing? You apologize when you're at fault. So this thing I just met for the first time was admitting to wronging me. That means I'm not at fault. It's at fault, not me. I dropped the razor blade, and it fell into the pile of blood. Pain is taking over my body. The pain of ripping apart my own body is taking over me. I've been telling myself this pain is the punishment for what I've done. But I'm not at fault, it is. So I don't need to accept this pain as a punishment. So I don't need to defile my body anymore. She continued apologizing to me over and over as I stood there covered in fresh blood. She apologized every time I wanted to blame myself, constantly whispering that it wasn't my fault. Oyashiro exists. She's always following me. Every time I can't endure the guilt, she apologizes and tells me I'm not at fault. Everything is caused by the curse of Oyashiro. Things started to go wrong when I broke the rule that I wasn't supposed to leave Hinamizawa. I finally remember when I moved from Hinamizawa, one of my neighbors gave me a charm. She said if I left Hinamizawa, I'd be cursed, so I had to take the charm. That's right. She gave me a charm. It had some complicated writing on it, but I haven't seen it since I moved here. I may have lost it. There's nothing I can do about that. If Hinamizawa residents leave Hinamizawa, they'll be cursed. My mother and I, and even Uncle Hakito too, may have gone insane because of the curse of Oyashiro. Nobody was at fault from the beginning. Everything is caused by the curse of Oyashiro. Nobody's at fault. Nobody! I'm finally able to forgive everything. The anger that I couldn't get rid of even after I destroyed everything, including my body and soul, is finally gone. Father, now I know. The curse of Oyashiro is what caused my mother to leave and for you to be so sad. You remember Oyashiro, don't you? The guardian deity of Hinamizawa, that's right. People of Hinamizawa aren't supposed to go outside the world. That's why Mother went insane. It's all because of the curse of Oyashiro. If we stayed in Hinamizawa, we could have been happy. Oyashiro came to me and told me that. Come to think of it, Oyashiro's been trying to tell me that for a long time. After Mother left, I didn't know why she left or how to express my anger. Oyashiro kept following me ever since then to let me know that. She followed me everywhere, the sound of her footsteps echoing behind me, but I pretended I didn't notice her. I was so stupid. I didn't hear her voice until I slashed my body all over. If only I had listened to Oyashiro's voice. I bet she started warning me once Uncle Akihito came into my life. If the whole family had gone to Hinamizawa, my mother wouldn't have had the affair. We would have been happy there. I bet Oyashiro was trying to tell me that. That's right. She must have been trying to warn me ever since we left Hinamizawa. She was always with me. She followed me everywhere. I was stupid trying to pretend I didn't notice. Everything was because of that stupidity. If I had noticed Oyashiro's voice, my family wouldn't have suffered from the curse. It's all my fault! Oyashiro's apologizing. She keeps apologizing, which means this is all her fault. So it isn't my fault, is it? Because this is the curse of Oyashiro, right? She's apologizing, saying, I'm sorry. Oyashiro's apologizing repeatedly. So I'm sorry too. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I didn't hear your voice. I'm sorry. We're from Hinamizawa, so we have to keep hearing your voice. Oyashiro definitely exists. Did you hear, Father? Don't you see? Oyashiro's right there apologizing, saying, I'm sorry. I'm sorry too. Come on, Father, let's apologize too. Mother, you don't have to apologize. You should die because of the curse. I hate you, Mother. I hate you. I hate myself for being your daughter. These maggots are your fault. They make me itch everywhere. I'm sorry. No, I don't want that medicine. My mother got to kill me, so I don't want it. I won't take it. I tell you, I won't take it. Stop! Stop, this is a curse. So you can't fix it with medicine. It won't get rid of the maggots because this is a curse. No, I don't want a shot either. Stop! Stop! It hurts. It hurts. It hurts. It hurts. Everything is falling into a gray world. Voices of my father and the doctor sound so far away. Even what just happened seems like it was a long time ago. Again, I'm given the capsule, and even my memory from a minute ago is gone. I'm back in my bed staring at the ceiling. And what I can see, the only thing that interests me is the hands on the clock. Tick, tock, tick, tock. I follow the minute hand as it goes around quickly, the hour hand as it goes around slowly. I see other things too, but they keep going through the same motions. Just like the hands on the clock. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's my fault. I'm sorry. Bayashiro keeps apologizing. Tick, tock, tick, tock. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Tick, tock, tick, tock. I'm sorry. Sorry. Repeating over and over again. Constantly. And nothing else. The chorus of the Higurashi coming into the window during the night seems louder than usual. My harsh and brutal days are still continuing without end. The situation between my aunt and Sadako remains the same. My aunt yells for Sadako for no reason every night. Although Sadako cries, she still talks back to her. So my aunt's yelling goes on forever and ever. Sadako's crying goes on and on too. When Sadako sees me, she grabs onto me. She hides behind my back and tries to ignore my aunt's yelling. She always comes to seek my help. Sadako doesn't open up to anyone but me, so if I don't protect her, she'll be devastated. But security is something our parents didn't grant to Sadako, so I have to be the one to provide it. But every day, day after day, every time Sadako cries, every day, day after day. Sadako grabbed onto me while crying yesterday. I pat her head, but along with pity, a different emotion came to me. I wanted to grasp her head and smash her against the wall. What an unbelievably devilish and awful emotion. No. I can't think that. No, it's not that I can't think that. It's just I can't acknowledge that feeling. Since that day, there's been someone else inside of me. Someone's trying to eat me up from the inside and switch places with me. Sadako begs for my help while crying. The person tries to make me spell out some awful, hateful words that are sure to damage Sadako forever. Leave me alone. Don't grab onto me. Go away. No. I can't. To prevent him from taking over my body, I clenched my stomach and I drove him out. I managed to do that. That wasn't it. That person's coming after me, trying to get back inside of me. I won't let such a scary thing get back inside of me. He knows there's no room to slip into my heart as long as I keep it shut like this. So he stopped trying and instead is following me right behind me. He's waiting for me to let my guard down. When I walk, he walks right behind me. He's breathing down my neck. He follows me everywhere, and when I lie down, he stares down at me. He's waiting for the right moment to jump back inside me so he can hurt Sadako. It's been so hot lately. Maybe the heat's getting to me, and that's why I think things like this. I'm the only family Sadako has, so I have to protect her from my aunt for the rest of my life. That's my eternal duty. The rest of my life. Forever. Do I really have to do that forever? If only Sadako. I'm her only family, but because of my aunt, to the villagers too. It's almost Watanagashi. Some irresponsible people are saying the curse will once again fall upon Hinamizawa. They're also saying it'll fall upon me and Sadako for sure. Maybe it's just my imagination, but lately, the villagers expecting it are giving me especially sharp looks. I feel like I'll be killed on the day of Watanagashi. Of course, there's no reason why I would be killed. It's just my imagination, too. Don't come inside of me. Sadako's my only sister in my family, so don't tell me those awful things. Stop. Stop. Don't come this way. Don't come this way. The footsteps came up right behind me, and the hands touched me on the shoulder. Oh. Rena. Are you okay? Are you? I must have been acting weird. Rena looked worried. Her name is Ryugu Rena. She just moved here and transferred to my school. Nobody remembers her, but supposedly she lived here in Hinamizawa a long time ago. In fact, she hardly remembers anything about Hinamizawa either. Since Mio is the only other classmate who's my age, I'm glad she's my friend. She usually carries on happily alongside Mio, but occasionally she shows more feminine consideration. Are you feeling okay? Do you want me to take you to the nurse's office? Do you? Thank you. I'm okay. Do I look sick or something? Yep. Her immediate answer made me realize I wasn't myself. Is it about Sadako? Are you worried? No, that isn't it. She knows that my problem isn't physical, but a mental one. This is just something I think to myself. But even though Rena seems like a very easygoing person, maybe she's more perceptive than she appears. Since I just transferred here recently, I may not be able to help much, but I can at least listen. Sometimes talking can help. Although she just transferred here, she already knows quite a bit about me and my sister, and also about the situation with the villagers. But talking about it won't solve anything. Actually, if I talk about it, I feel like I'd be admitting to my weakness, which might give that person a chance to get inside of me again. You were so surprised just now. That's why I thought something really serious was bothering you. Oh, that. Lately, I feel like someone is following me all the time. I thought it was you. Sorry. I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. Footsteps? Following you? I know those. I know those footsteps. Formation of a club. School's the children's world. The values of grown-ups don't apply. Children decide their own rules and values and create their own world. So the rules of the grown-up world, of the village, don't mean anything here. Even when the villagers badmouth the Hojo family and try to isolate them, that has no meaning at our school. In the children's world, children decide the rules. Rules think that they are rational don't exist here. That's why As the representative for the children here, I vow that I'll never let any irrational rules come into our world. Within the school, no harassment's allowed toward the Hojo siblings. In the very beginning, some boys teased Sadako, but they were punished severely, and it hasn't happened ever since. That's the least I can do to resist the madness of the village. So I hope Satoshi and Sadako both feel the school is safe for them. Satoshi must notice my concern because he often smiles when he's here. However, I never see Sadako smile. Sadako's classmates used to try to cheer her up, but soon after, they decided it was just best to leave her alone. I used to try to talk to her, but when I realized something, I stopped doing that. I'm a member of the Sonozaki family. To Sadako, I'm one of her enemies, so I'm sure she feels uncomfortable to have me around her. All I can do is watch over her. That's why Sadako is alone in the classroom. That said, Rika's always hanging around her, even though Sadako told her she was annoying. Satoshi too is always beside her. Those two are the only ones who remain by her side. It isn't limited to Sadako, of course. The malicious isolation is still continuing toward the Hojo family. Because of their hysterical aunt is so hostile toward her neighbors, there's nobody who sympathizes with her. It's wise to know that there are fights worth picking, and also fights better set aside. If the aunt had even a little tolerance or self-control, this isolation wouldn't have continued. Of course, the villagers were the ones who forced them into that role, even though they weren't related to the issue. But if she stayed quiet, then it wouldn't have gone so far. The aunt's hostility is one thing, but she's dragging everyone in the family into it as well. The uncle and aunt haven't been getting along, and he hardly comes home. Both Satoshi and Sadako are forced to live in shame. The aunt vents her stress by harassing Sadako. This is the same too. The aunt is her guardian after all, but Sadako doesn't even try to hide her disgust, so things aren't going smoothly between them. If she had behaved like Satoshi, then she wouldn't have been made into a target. So does that mean that the sad life Sadako is living right now is because something she caused herself? No, it doesn't. But no matter how much I sympathize and how much I want to help her, nobody knows what to do. Apology won't change the situation. The flow can't be reversed. The fact the Hojo family is ostracized by the entire village can't be changed. That's the horribleness lurking underneath our lives. The neighbors, the village, and the community. Once they become your enemies, the world can become so cruel. Japanese people have known that since the ancient times. That's why we cultivated empathy and an obligation to show courtesy to one's neighbors. No matter who I blame, Sadako won't smile, so the only thing I can do is watch over her and make sure she's safe when she's at school. Thank you, Mion. Sorry, what? I just wanted to thank you for being so concerned about Sadako. Satoshi kind of appears absent-minded, but sometimes he says things as if he can read your thoughts. I tried to deny it since it's out of character for me, but he smiled as if he could tell exactly what I was thinking. Sadako's just forgotten how to smile. When she's at school, she can let go of a little tension for a while. I'm sure she treasures that time. That's basically the only thing this old man can do for her. That's not true. I really appreciate it. Stop that! You don't need to say that. Besides, my family's the one who's causing all this grief. I don't think that way. I really don't. I'm not good at reading people's subtle cues, but I know for sure what he said is just a lie. Satoshi knows that he and his family are being isolated because of the Sonozakis, and he of course is aware that I'm a member of the Sonozaki family too. Satoshi is mature, and that's the only reason he doesn't take it out on me. If he had the same temper as his aunt, he would hate me bitterly, knowing that the least I can do is not to get close to them. But I'm a meddlesome person, and when I see Sadako looking depressed or Satoshi forcing himself to smile, I have to do something. That might be more troublesome to Satoshi and Sadako though. Maybe I just don't understand Sadako's feelings. Why? My family's causing Sadako grief, so for me, a member of the family to hang around her, is that the right thing to do? Sure, that's just you being you. What do you mean by that? Are you saying that I'm insensitive? I don't mean it like that. If this atmosphere itself is robbing Sadako of her smile, and only someone who can completely ignore it can bring her smile back. This old man can't tell if you're trying to compliment or not. You're mean. I'm not ridiculing you, really. I just want you to help. I I can't make Sadako smile again by myself. I need someone like you to help me. But I'm Sonozaki Mion, you know? If I do something insensitive, I might end up hurting Sadako even more. Sadako's already lonely. Are you gonna leave her alone too? This is the first time Satoshi has asked me for something so aggressively. Sadako is a very important person to him. He's saying he needs my help to make her smile again, but still, no. Maybe he's right. What's going on between the Sorozaki family and the Hojo family is an issue even among grown-ups. We children don't need to care about that. The irrational rules of the grown-ups don't mean anything in our world. So I have to object to the irrationality of the grown-up world using methods of my own. Are you sure Sadako won't feel bothered by me? She may at first, but I'll be with you. I'll be with you, Mion, so she'll open up right away. You think so? Should we do something after school today? If we go home first, our aunt might say something, and we might not be able to leave. Okay, then it's simple. Don't go home first. But if we get home too late, she might ask us what we're doing. Let's see. I know! Why don't you join a club? A club? Yeah! Tell her you're going to an after-school club, and tell her that you're doing something after school before going home. There's plenty of people who go after school before they go home. That'll be no problem. But if we mess up our clothes, our aunt will say, okay then we'll do something indoors. Then your clothes will stay clean. Indoors? You mean in the classroom? But wouldn't Jay say something? It's possible to play passionately while not going wild indoors. Contrary to my appearance, I love playing games. I collected some treasures from overseas too. Some of the manuals are written in English and are a little complicated. While with some of them I needed someone to play with, so a lot of them are just sitting in the storage room. Do you think Sadako can play those too? Sure! If you don't know the rules, then you just make them up. As long as everyone's following the same rules, it's totally okay. I said it so confidently, but would bringing games from home and asking Sadako to play with us actually make her smile again? What if I got to lose? Maybe I'll bring one of the board games tomorrow. Oh, also, Mion, I have something else I want to ask you. What? This old man's all ears! I'm looking for a part-time job. I thought if I could get her a nice birthday present, that might make her feel better.